Okay, this is the second time I'm giving my lesson number 13 of a lecture series on how the U.S. is starting a new Cold War. And I'm giving it for the second time because I can tell that there was a big, massive wave attack, a maximum effort attack, a Custer's last stand effort attack to undermine this lecture, right? And this lecture is so simple, straightforward, and undeniable that the only way you can attack this successfully in the minds of people is to have all those people know nothing of this. If they have zero knowledge of this, well then, okay, I can see how an attack would work, right? But this is so blatantly obvious, straightforward, and simple, and factual. You can fact check all this stuff, right? That the only way you can believe an attack is if, you're just totally ignorant or lacking in intelligence, right? So I figured, well, I better try to give it again. Maybe more people will actually try to learn something, right? So this lesson deals with the chronology of how the U.S. abrogation of the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty destabilized and fueled a nuclear arms race, which is going on right now. And that resulted in Russia abrogating the INF Treaty, the Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty, all right, which we then pointed the finger and said, oh, look at, they're such evildoers, they're starting all this trouble. Man, we jammed them into that, right? So the U.S. abrogates the ABM treaty. Russia warned at least six times, right? It will deploy intermediate nuclear force missiles if you do this, right? So the U.S. doesn't, pay attention and installs ABMs in Romania and in Poland. Poland's in italicized because although they began construction of the ABM, it's still not activated. They're still not complete. But after they installed these missiles, Russia afterward deployed intermediate nuclear force missiles, right? Fueling a nuclear arms race, and we point the finger only at Russia. They're the troublemaker. We don't do it. We're not responsible. We didn't do anything. Bullshit. All right, so here's the background behind the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty. All right, first signed in 1972, then they made an addendum in 74. All right, so the treaty limited USA and the USSR to one battery of 100 anti-ballistic missiles each. All right, just covering a small portion of one territory. All right. Now, the U.S. installed its one ABM system in North Dakota to protect ICBMs, giving credence to the deterrence effect of survivability of retaliatory strike. So they're trying to increase the survivability of retaliatory strike to enhance deterrence. All right. The USSR installed its ABM system to protect Moscow. Now, here are some reasons behind the ABM treaty. I give you 6 of them, right? So the first is, if there was a belief in an effective defense against ICBMs, the ABMs here, that will only motivate the construction of more ICBMs and multiple independent reentry vehicles to overcome the ABM defense, fueling a dangerous destabilizing arms race. So the ABMs will only be just more destabilizing. The ABM systems themselves will become yet another element of the dangerous arms race. Trying to one-up each other, getting a better ABM system, right? Fueling that race. Now, because nuclear stability is based upon deterrence of mutually assured destruction, ABM systems are destabilizing because they can reduce retaliatory strike capability, right? Thereby making it more likely that someone tries to get a first strike attack in. All right, number 4. By leaving all but one small portion of each nation totally vulnerable and open to nuclear attack, the deterrence effect of mutually assured destruction is enhanced. Right? That's the logic behind that. Now, ABMs cannot be counted to effectively defend against a surprise first strike given the following facts. One, each side having roughly 10,000 nuclear warheads. That's U.S. versus USSR alone. I mean, you're not even including European nuclear warheads, NATO nuclear warheads. Okay, so I mean, there's so many. There's so many you can't get. You can't count on ABMs getting them all, and just one getting by is one way too many when it comes to nuclear warheads. And then you got MIRVs, multiple independent reentry vehicle. For example, the Soviet R-36M intercontinental ballistic missile had 10 warheads and 40 decoys. That's 50 targets you got to take down to ensure that no warheads get through. You got to take down all 50 because you don't know which ones are the real deal, which ones are decoys. The advantage of the element surprise of a first strike over a reactive ABM response. Right? All right. Fog of war. So the ABM response is not going to be effective because you're scrambling. Like, oh crap, what? Are you sure they're coming in? You're not even certain, and then you got to respond, and time's running out. Short reaction times, less than 30 minutes from continent to continent. U.S. to USSR. Super short reactive times if the missiles are launched from submarines or advanced placed aircraft. And then you got hypersonic, hyper-maneuverable missiles that can evade ABMs. Hell, our current ABMs aren't even certified to shooting down regular reentry vehicles, let alone these hypersonic, hypervelocity. Right? ABMs could be perceived to be better offensive weapons when used in conjunction with a first strike, thusly increasing the risk of a first strike and thus destabilizing. So even though they're poor defensive weapons when you're being overwhelmed, well, they can be perceived to be better offensive weapons. For example, the belief that the first strike will take out the majority of an adversary's ICBMs, leaving only a ragtag remnant, which an ABM system can effectively shoot down all of. Alright, so then in 1988, the U.S. and USSR signed another bilateral treaty called the Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty, INF. Right? And what it did, it banned all ground-launched, and make sure you know that ground-launched nuclear missiles with a range between 500 to 5,500 kilometers. Right? Now, air and sea-launched missiles, from aircraft or from like submarines or from aircraft carriers, I guess, are still allowed. So these were not included in the treaty. These were not eliminated. Impetus for this treaty was a 1979 Soviet deployment of SS-20 missiles, which were advancement. They were a significant advancement. They had solid rocket fuel. Each missile had 3 warheads. The range was about 5,000 miles. And these were to replace their old SS-4s deployed in 59 and SS-5s deployed in 62. These are old, right? Pretty much useless. Now, the SS-20 missiles, which were not restricted by the SALT II treaty, which involved only ICBMs, were intended to deter a NATO attack. Now, keep in mind that NATO at that time had 7,400 tactical nuclear warheads in Europe, right? Now, I'm thinking that's a lot of tactical nukes. I'm probably guessing that some of those were artillery, because I know that, I don't know if they were deployed, but I know that we were working on tactical nuclear artillery shells, right? All right. Now, at the time of the treaty, UK and France had nuclear weapons, and both USA and West Germany deployed the nuclear Pershing 1 missile, which was a solid rocket fuel missile with 1 warhead. Now, in response to the SS-20s being deployed, the USA on December 12th of 79 deployed 108 Pershing 2 missiles in advancement of the Pershing 1s, and 464 BGM-109 ground-launched Tomahawk cruise missiles in 5 locations. Okay. United Kingdom, that's Great Britain, West Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, and Italy. So in this way, the INF Treaty was de-escalating, right? Because you can see this escalation, counter-escalation, right? Okay, all right. Let's just get rid of the ground launch intermediate range missiles. All right, then the 9/11 2001 Al-Qaeda attacks occurred. The Bush administration immediately moved to exploit the atmosphere of fear and hysteria, all that irrational stuff running around people's brains, right? Right? Knowing they can manipulate people to justify an attack on Iraq, both pinning in Iraq and planning to use it to attack Iraq, right? 3 months later, this is right away, day one. Read Richard Clark's book, Against All Enemies. Day one, they're doing this, right? 3 months later, they did the same trick to justify abrogation of the ABM treaty, based upon the bogus threat of rogue state and non-state villains having both WMD and ballistic missiles, right? Now, as I showed you, this was all total bullshit. Right? Who had WMD? Especially that can hit, Poland or Romania where they put the missiles, right? Who had ballistic missiles? Right? Only Iran that can barely hit Romania, not Poland, right? And I'll go through how across the board, inside and out, upside, downside, left, right, it's all bullshit. All right, so 12 of 2001, a couple months later, Bush administration announces it's going to abrogate the ABM treaty, exploiting the irrational atmosphere of fear and hysteria caused by the Al-Qaeda attacks, not Iraq or Iran, Al-Qaeda, right? And therefore, what they did is they conducted an illegitimate transference of fear and threat, right, from Al-Qaeda onto Iraq and Iran. It's a bait and switch, right? Why does it work? Because of irrational fear, right? People don't think through this. A lot of times people don't think at all. I swear, even when they're not afraid, they're like, oh yeah, or Al-Qaeda attack. Well, yeah, that means Iran's going to attack us. Iraq's going to attack us. Like, come on. All right, so now in November 2002, wasting no time, the Bush administration begins negotiations with Poland and the Czech Republic to deploy ABM system, the missiles positioned in Poland, and the radar guidance system based in the Czech Republic. All right. So this threatens to disrupt the nuclear balance in Europe, which involves intermediate range nuclear weapons. That's INF. Why? Because the range between Europe and Russia falls in that intermediate range. Alright, then in February 2007, the USA started formal negotiations with Poland and the Czech Republic to install the ABM systems. Alright, and then right away, February 15th, reported in the papers, in response to the U.S. threat, Putin warned of a new Cold War and that Russia may counter this threat by installing short-range nuclear missiles bordering NATO nations in Eastern Europe in violation of the INF Treaty. So they're saying, hey, listen, we're going to violate this INF Treaty because we have to, because you're jamming us with this threat. Right? I mean, this is clear. This is easy to understand crap. Right? Doesn't take a rocket scientist. Here's the thing. 99.99999% of Americans have zero knowledge of this. Only a small fraction of people are actually going to read this, pay attention, right? Take this seriously, and be honest about it. And most people just believe social retard reality. A big wave of idiot reality that's passed. And they'll just believe that. That'll be the only thing in their brain, right? All right, so again, Russia's warning, hey, you install these ABMs, we're threatened. We got to respond. We're going to install, you know, short-range missiles violating the INF Treaty. At least six times they said this. They said again here, said again here, 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 and here. Yeah, here. Okay. All right. So then the chief of the general staff of the armed forces, this is like chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in the United States. He's the top military guy in Russia. This Yuri dude, Yuri B something, stated that Russia will unilaterally withdraw from the INF Treaty because, one, U.S. deployment of ABM missiles in Eastern Europe was a violation of the INF Treaty. Well, that's not actually true. The INF Treaty says nothing about defensive missiles, right? Right. But what is true is the reason why they're worried and they're going to have to abrogate the INF is because of these missiles, the threat it causes to Russia. Two, other nuclear-capable NATO nations were not limited by the bilateral treaty, which is true. For example, today, both Great Britain and France have nuclear weapons, and the USA has B-61 nuclear bombs scattered throughout Europe, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, 2 places in Italy, and 1 place in Turkey. And these bombs can be delivered by stealth planes, leaving essentially 0 reaction times, right? So, here's a B-61 bomb, right? It's just a bomb you drop. It's not powered, right? But the thing about it is, right, it's carried by F-35s, B-2s, or B-21s. These are all stealth, all right? And stealth planes are made to penetrate your territory so you can't see them. And they can drop these bombs right over their target. You know, and the bombs are coming down before you even know it. You know, it leaves no reaction time. So I'm willing to bet that there's going to be bullshit attacks here. Why? Because people are liars. And they're going to try to worm out some attack. Liars may say, hey, the UK and France do not have nukes on European soil. You know, I believe that's true. I believe it's all either in submarines or, in the case of France, submarines and aircraft carriers. They have some nuclear warhead cruise missiles that can be launched, carried by Rafale fighters, which are launched from carriers, right? So yeah, all right, but it doesn't matter because UK and France still do have nukes, and their territory is absolutely essential to mutually assured destruction, deterrent, stability. Their territories are fully in play, right? Their territories are fully being held hostage, like Russian territories being held hostage, to maintain stability and deterrence. And that's being blocked by an ABM system, resulting in instability, right? Destabilization. All right. Now, the B-61s are bombs, not missiles. That's another bullshit. Well, yeah, but as I just explained, right, these bombs are carried by stealth planes, and that can result in basically 0 reaction time. Far less than missiles. Missiles, you know, they take some. They can be spotted in radar. It'll take some time to get there, right? All right. So B-61s are even more threatening when carried by stealth planes. Because you don't even know they're there until they're right overhead, and then you get like no reaction time. All right, 2008, the U.S. accused Russia of testing the SSC-8 cruise missile capable of carrying a nuclear warhead with a range of 2,000 miles. That's within the restricted range for the INF Treaty, right? Now, we accused them of testing, and, you know, it is true that testing is not allowed in the INF, right? I downloaded the full text of this, and I read through it. Yeah, testing is not allowed, right? But still, this is in response to the ABM threat. So we jammed them with a threat, right? We violate the ABM treaty, and then we accuse them, oh, you violated the INF by testing. Not deploying, just testing, right? Why did they test? Because we jammed them with a threat, right? We said we're going to, install them in Poland and Czech Republic, right? Which, by the way, is outside the range of Iranian ballistic missiles. No one's got missiles that can hit Poland, right? Oh, but Poland stands in between Russia and Europe, right? You know what this is really all about. We're jamming Russia with a threat. All right. Then, between February 14th and April 1st, the U.S. of 2008, the U.S. Senate, House, and President all together jammed Russia with the threat of accelerated NATO membership for both Ukraine and Georgia. All right, this is at a time when Ukraine was screwing Russia with gas transit through its country to Europe. All right, and Europe was getting all panicked, right? And they're pushing for 3 non-Russian gas pipelines, all of which go through Georgia. So these two countries are inextricably linked together strategically, right? You think it's an accident that we pushed to get both these countries, right, into NATO, right? That's jamming them with a threat. So it's a prior example of the USA jamming Russia with a threat to get them to react. And when they react, we point the finger and say, oh, you're the bad guy. We didn't do anything, right? Bullshit. Playing the same game, Now, it's called a get-you-again game, right? Now, any person who says, oh, they don't play games, they can't play games, no one's that smart, right? You're just an idiot who knows nothing, has no knowledge of how many times this game is played historically. Over and over again, it's an old game. But if you know nothing, it's not real. Nothing in my head, so it's not real as far as I know. Alright, so July 4th, 2008, the Polish government rejected U.S. installation of ABMs in Poland. They rejected it. July 2008, right? Now, you see how this is going to switch. So here's the start of the crisis. We jam Russia with a threat. Russia's got to respond, right? Now, I'm not going to teach you how all they did to respond, but I'll just go through some stuff here. So then July 8th, the Russian Foreign Ministry stated that if the missile system was approved, quote, we will be forced to react not with diplomatic, but with military technical methods. What does that mean? I mean, that's euphemism for deploying a weapon system, right? For example, INF. Why, for example? Because that's what they're talking about. Right, so this is pointing directly at, hey, we got to deploy an INF. And then on August 1st of 2008, South Ossetia starts its independence move by starting to shell Georgian villages right across the border. South Ossetia is a province within Georgia. They want to go independent. They want to join Russia. So they're like, after this threat, Putin gave backing to South Ossetia to set up the game Putin played. All right, and then 6 days later, what's amazing, it took Georgia 6 days to get their act together to respond. Then Georgia finally responds by invading South Ossetia. Very next day, Putin, who had taken months to build up his forces along the Georgian border, uses Georgia's military response as a pretext to invade, starting a 5-day war in which Russia got the Georgian president to promise not to join NATO. Then Putin backed out of Georgia. All right? So this was totally a defensive move. He's not taking territory. He's not taking that pipelines that run through Georgia. All right? He's not creating a bigger threat to Europe, which is going to get them jacked up with sanctions. All right. Then on August 14th, only 7 days after Russia began its invasion, all right, Poland does a 180 flip-flop from its July 4th, all right? and it announces it will now accept U.S. ABM missile defenses. So do you think the Russian invasion of Georgia did not influence Poland into accepting a missile defense system on his land? Right? I mean, you know that's exactly why they did. They're like, oh man, aggressive Russia. We better get some U.S. defensive missiles. All right. Now, who maneuvered to manufacture the Georgian crisis? Right? Putin maneuvered in response, but Putin was on his heels reactive. It was the USA who jammed him with the initial threat. All right? Now, this is not hard to understand. All right? I mean, if you seriously do not understand this, well, just try to think about it, all right? Just spend some time to try to think about this. All right. Now, Russia responded that the ABM installation cannot go unpunished. And Russia's NATO envoy, this Dmitry dude, declared that ABM systems were not really directed at an Iranian threat, but against Russia, stating the fact that this was signed in a period of very difficult crisis in relations between Russia and the United States over the situation in Georgia, right here, right, shows that, of course, the missile defense system will be deployed not against Iran, but against the strategic potential of Russia, right? It's like, duh! I mean, this is no-brainer stuff. How is this being attacked? This is like no-brain stuff. All it takes is a simple mind. It's not hard to comprehend. Also, one, right, in terms of Iran, what benefit is Iran going to get from throwing, they don't even have a nuke, throwing a conventional warhead. I'm saying maximum probably 1,000-pound warhead. What benefit are they going to get from throwing one of those at East European country like Romania? It'll blow up one building. All right. What losses are they going to take? Big losses. Major economic sanctions right away, devastating their economy. Right. Immediate NATO retaliatory strike, taking out all their ICBMs, taking out all their early warning, their air defenses, their command and control, their communication, all that stuff wiped out. That's going to do what? Leave them wide open, naked to a Sunni attack, who's the real enemy. Right in their backyard. Their real enemy. I mean, why would Iran? They'd have to be stupid. I mean, just really a retarded zombie to do that. Right? Right? I mean, it's just, thinking of the obvious second move. Well, what's going to happen? Right? I mean, if you don't think that, you're just some redneck. Anyways. Okay. So, they don't even have a nuke. Why would you even bother? And plus, Poland is out of range. They don't have a ballistic missile that can hit Poland. What the hell? Right? And then, Iran's history. Iran, historically, since 1979, since the current government came into power after the revolution, never had they launched a major offensive attack, a war, uninitiated, right? Right? They didn't start a war. Right? Why? Because they're very cautious to avoid a major retaliatory strike upon them. All they do is their petty little proxy crap, right? They do a lot of proxy crap. Why not? So, last is, hey, if you're really worried about Eastern Europe, well, why not install missiles closer to Iran, right? If you're really worried about Iran hitting East, which is ridiculous bullshit, right? Why not install it in Turkey, which is right next to Iran? They share a border. Next door neighbors. Why not there? Why not Bulgaria or Greece, which is closer than Romania? Why not Albania, which is closer than Poland? Right? They're all part of NATO. Oh, bullshit. November 5th, 2008. Russia is here. Let me show you. I'll show you a map here. Right. So here's Iran. Here's Poland. Iranian missiles can't even reach Poland. At max, they get about this far, about 2/3 through Romania. All right. So they can get this far. All right. Now, what does that mean? That means Turkey's in range, Bulgaria's in range, Greece is in range, Albania's in range. They're all closer. Hell, look at Turkey's right next door to Iran. Oh yeah, but we need missiles in Poland, right? Even though Iran can't hit Poland. Well, what? I'm not going to swear, but it's like, whoa, are you crazy? This is like stupid. But not for social reality. Of course, social reality is based on nothing. They're not even paying attention to this. I swear. Based on nothing. Social reality. Always. Right? Just get a big wave. That's real. And all the mental retards fall for it. I swear, over 20,000 times. Never ends. Alright, so November 5th, 2008, Russia is clearly threatened by the potential ABM system. They're threatened. Stationed in a NATO country who has nuclear weapons, 7,400 nuclear weapons. I think by this time they reduced it to 6,400. But they still got a lot, right? Eastern Europe. In Eastern Europe. Now, in a State of the Nation speech, Russian President Medvedev, I can't say these damn names, Medvedev, said, "From what we have seen in recent years, the creation of a missile defense system, the encirclement of Russia with military bases, the relentless expansion of NATO," right? So we're jacking them with threats here. He said it three ways. We have gotten a clear impression that they are testing our strength. We are threatening them. Now, in response to the ABM's missiles, Russia threatened to deploy nuclear-capable Iskander missiles with a short range of only 500 kilometers, but that's INF treaty stuff, right? To the isolated Russian enclave on Kaliningrad, right? So here's Kaliningrad, if you're not familiar. Here's the principal part of Russia, the bigger part of Russia. Now, a part of Russia that's set off in an island is Kaliningrad. Even though it's separated, you got Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Bulgaria here, right? Here's Poland, there's Belarus, right? It's Belarus right there. All right, so here's Kaliningrad, right? So they're worried that this is out there now, this is vulnerable. You know, you install these ABMs threatening us in Poland. Well, we better put some missiles here to protect Kaliningrad, right? Oh, you know, what's going to happen? We're going to point the finger. You troublemakers! You aggressors! That's exactly what we do. I mean, it's a get. How hard are these get you games to understand? What? We don't play games. Oh, it's crazy. You gotta be crazy to think that we play games. No, you gotta be stupid to not follow and understand simple games like this. I mean, literally just squat stupid. Alright, then on 17 September 2009, Obama announced that the U.S. will not deploy the long-range, high-speed, 1,300-mile Mach 15 SM-3 Block 2A, right? These are more advanced. Because the U.S. intelligence indicates that Iranian ballistic missile program is focusing upon short-range missiles. Well, duh! God, right? I mean, how obvious is that? Well, first of all, again, this shows that Iran is a threat. It's the perceived threat, which is bullshit, right? And right, if Obama's like, oh yeah, that's surprising, they're focusing. I mean, come on, right? Where is all of Iran's threats? Where is all of Iran's concerns? Eastern Europe's not even an afterthought for them. Why would they even be thinking about Eastern? Right? They're worried about Sunni attack. They got beef against Israel for whatever reason, right? They're supporting the proxies. All that's regional, right? Well, duh. Short range means right in their backyard. Sunnis, Israel. Right? Iran's focus is in the Middle East, Sunni threat and support of its proxies. Right? So in response to Obama, you say, okay, we're not going to install it, right? Medvedev announced they would not install the Iskander missiles here in Kaliningrad. All right? All right? So, Obama's saying, okay, all right. But Obama was taken for a ride in this ABM stuff. Overall, he was taken for a ride, right? That's all I want to say, all right? And he was, just like he was taken for a ride in Libya, right? Obama was taken for a ride for that, too. Now, I want to say that, the one good thing about Trump that I see is he doesn't like war. And he's not taken for a ride by, the military-industrial complex. All right? That's one good thing about Trump. Everything else I can't stand about Trump. Right? Now, I don't know about Biden. I don't know if Biden will be suckered for this. I hope he's not suckered as much as Obama. Right? Right? But as far as other things, Biden is far better than Trump as far as just our threat to our democracy and our Constitution, the fundamental sinews, fabric of our government. Right? I mean, that's important stuff. All right, so 2010, the U.S. announced plans to install the SM-3 Block 1B. These are the shorter range and slower, 378-mile Mach 10 missiles in Romania. Romania is in play now, not just Poland. All right. So Romania agrees to host the missiles starting in 2015, and then there's plans to upgrade these missiles to the Block 2A, long-range high speeders, by 2018. However, these missiles were still undergoing development by April of 2019. So you couldn't deploy these because, they're still undergoing development. What does that mean? That means they haven't ironed out all the kinks. That means these missiles are not completely effective against the existing Russian reentry vehicles, right? And they're going to get further behind when Russia develops hypersonic, hypermaneuverable reentry vehicles to counter the ABMs. They're not even getting current ABMs, and Russia's going to have, missiles that there's no way they can evade. No way they can shoot down, 2013, Romanian Air Base begins construction. 2015, July 14, 2015, the nuclear deal is signed with Iran. Now you got UN weapons inspectors with 24/7 access to Iran's nuclear sites, and therefore we know that Iran has no nukes. No WMD. Sorry, remember the condition? You have to have WMD and, right, it's biconditional and ballistic missiles. Well, no WMD, so it's off the table already with no WMD. You see what I'm saying? Where the hell was I here? Okay. All right, so in May of 2016, U.S. announces activation of the SM-3 Air Base in Romania. So it's active. It's up and running, right? At the opening ceremony, both the State Department, some dude, Frank Rose, Deputy U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Arms Control, all right? Yeah, you're doing a great job in arms control here. Crap. Deputy of Defense Robert Work, U.S. Deputy Secretary of Defense, right? So you got State Department, you got Defense Department, both stating that the purpose of the ABMs is to defend against Iranian ballistic missiles. Iran is a threat, right? Right. So if this is Iran, right? Here's the maximum range of Iran's ballistic missile. All right, they got two that with this range. That's a max range, right? Right. Oh, well, it doesn't even get all of Romania. It gets like 2/3 of Romania. Right. What a threat to Romania. Remember I talked about romaine lettuce as a joke? Romania? Isn't that a type of lettuce? I mean, why are they even thinking of Romania? Like, what? Are you serious? God. And then this work dude says, oh yeah, the missiles will not be used against any future Russian missile threat. You think that's not Russia will say, that's just lip service? You think in reality, the Russians think that's not a threat to them? That's not destabilizing the nuclear balance in Europe? Come on, right? So then Russian President Vladimir Putin's office said Moscow, in response, also doubted NATO's stated aim of protecting the alliance against Iranian rockets following the historic nuclear deal with Tehran, proving that they got no nukes, right? And world powers last year that Russia helped to negotiate. So they say, hey, we helped negotiate. We know they got no nukes now. Why are you worried? Remember, it's a biconditional thing. You got to have both WMD and ballistic missiles, right? Well, no WMD. All right, so June 2016, one day after the ceremony here, Mr. Work there, he goes to Poland and attends a groundbreaking of the Polish ABM complex. So they're going to start construction now. They begin construction in Poland for both Block 1B and 2A. This is the faster, longer range jobs. Completion date set at 2018. So then, following this, Putin responds to the ABM threat as these elements of ballistic missile defense are deployed. Russia will be, quote, forced to think about how to neutralize emerging threats to the Russian Federation. So they're threatened. All these are additional steps toward throwing the international security system off balance and unleashing a new arms race. Right? You know what the Americans are going to say? Oh, bullshit! USA doesn't do that. USA never does things bad. We do good. That's it. You know what I said? Duh. This is like no-brainer. Oh, but wait a minute. We're talking about the 99.999%. So, well, that doesn't include no-brainer. Yeah. All right. So again, here, look. Here is a diagram for NATO missile defense shield. Yeah, NATO missile shield, right? Who's the threat? Iran. They're throwing a ballistic missile to Poland. They don't have a missile that can hit Poland. What the hell? Romania at best. But look at where Poland and Romania sit. Okay, so here's Iran. This is the so-called bullshit. The so-called threat is bullshit, right? Let's put missiles in Poland and Romania. Yeah, they can't even hit Poland. Oh yeah, but they can hit Romania, part of Romania, right? And this is the territory that grows Romanian lettuce. We got to protect that, right? And never mind that NATO nations are right next door to Iran. Bulgaria is closer, Greece is closer, Albania is at least as close as Romania. All right, don't put missiles there. But what does Poland and Romania form a blocking line between? How about a blocking line between Russia and Europe? Who has nuclear weapons spread throughout Europe? UK, France, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, Italy, and Turkey. All right. All right. All right, so Iran is a target of the ABM systems, but Iran has no nukes, and no Iranian ballistic missile can hit Poland. It can only hit part of Romania. Iran has zero to gain from attacking an East European nation. I mean, I'm thinking, they're not even thinking of East European nations. What the hell? It's not even an afterthought. Because there's no thought of it to begin with. Why would they? It's like, Iran's concerns are in the Middle East, right? That's where their focus is. Duh! Sunni threat. Who's their main enemy? Not Israel, it's the Sunnis. And supported proxies, right? Israel has everything to lose from attacking Eastern European nation, especially a NATO nation, right? One, UN's just going to devastate around with major sanctions, whacking their economy. 2, NATO's going to respond. You know they're not going to sit still. Oh, okay, well, that's fine. It's only Romania, hell, No, it's a NATO country. They're going to fly out and whack around big time. I'm not going to, it's standard playbook what they're going to do, right? Take out their early warning, duh. Take out the command and control, duh. Take out the air defense, duh. Take out the communication, duh, right? And then you go in leisurely like a stroll through the park, la-di-da, right? Hey, Mom, look, no hands. It's like riding your bike through the park, no hands. And you go in, right, and leisure take out all their ballistic missile systems with no threat to yourself because you've taken that all out initially in the first strikes. All right, so it's going to leave Iran totally naked to the real threat, which is the Sunni nations or Israel. Israel is always conducting these preemptive strikes. Since its inception in 1979, the Iranian government has been highly cautious to avoid a major retaliatory attack, and so has never initiated a large offensive war. They only do low-intensity things like support proxies or lay floating mines in the Persian Gulf after the U.S. starts escorting Iraqi oil, which is an act of war, so they got to try to do something. And they think they can get away with laying floating mines as long as they rub off the name, the paint Iran off. Oh, we'll just scrape off the paint Iran. They got nothing to prove on us, right? Oh my ass! One of those mines hit the Samuel B. Roberts, a USS naval frigate, right? And we responded by whacking them with Operation Praying Mantis. I mean, they didn't get away with that. We whacked them hard. Oh man, right? Sunk about half their navy. Took out about I think 2 oil platforms. Don't forget that Bush abrogation of the ABM treaty required both WMD and ballistic missiles. No WMD, no nukes, right? Poland's not even in range. What the hell? Finally, if Iran really is a threat to Eastern Europe, why didn't we install ABM systems in Greece, Albania, Bulgaria, or Turkey, which is right next door, sharing common border with Iran? Right? When they're all closer, is it because in terms of Russia, these countries are off to the side and out of the way, whereas Poland and Romania form a wall between Russia and Europe? Who has nuclear weapons? So here's Iran down here. Here's Turkey, Bulgaria, Romania. Way off of the way. In terms of Russia and Europe, well, right in the way, these are off to the side. But these are a blocking line between Europe. So is this more directed at Russia? Duh! All right. So February 2017, U.S. officials accuse Russia of aggression. Right? Oh, you're being evil. Right? You violated the INF treaty by installing 2 batteries of 24 SSC-8 cruise missiles with a range around 2,000 miles. Right? So one battery is at Rasputin Yar, which is like their testing site for nuclear weapons way out here, right? Way off near Kazakhstan, right? And the other location, I don't know where it's at, but I know they got 2 locations, right? Both with 24 missiles. That's 48 altogether. So at least 6 times Russia warned it. Hey, we're going to have to do this. If you set up these ABMs, we set them up. And we start construction. Romania is open in 2016. We start construction in Poland in 2016. So 2017, they say they install these intermediate range missiles, right? They must counter by installing INF missiles. Of course, Americans will ignore this, right? What is it? They didn't warn us. No, right? And they'll point the finger at Russia, right? Oh, you're the big bad bear, the scary bear with big claws, and you're doing evil stuff. Man, Russia's on its heels again. Crap. I want to point out that the range between Rasputin Yar and London here is 1,677 miles. So this is well within range of those missiles. Yeah, probably. I bet you could hit most of England, if not all of England, including Ireland over here, right? And it's going to get pretty much all of France too. That's what. That's why they have range of 2,000 miles, and that's why they put it at Caspian Yar, right? So that um, Britain and France have nuclear weapons, right? So what is the threat to Russia? This kind of got blocked here. Well, it's European nations with nuclear weapons, all right, protected by ABM systems. All right, I gotta have to. Oh no, let me do this. So let's look at realistically, in reality, as opposed to social retard reality, which dominates the minds of the masses. All right. Let's look at the situation with intermediate range missiles. Remember we said the INF included only ground launch cruise missiles or ground launch missiles with that range, intermediate range, right? It did not include any air launched or sea launched, right? Well, here are some sea launched, or this is air launched, the AGM 129, a nuclear cruise missile with stealth, right? We have 461 of these. 536 of these AGM 86Bs here, air launched, right? And I don't know. I'm sure we have hundreds. I'm not sure the exact number. I couldn't find it, but I'm sure it's in the hundreds of these sea launched cruise missiles fired out of submarines, all right, which can be very close. UGM 109 Tomahawks, right? So given these numbers, it is fair to say that an additional. I mean, I'm not saying Russia doesn't have these as well. I'm sure Russia has these as well, right? Right. But if you look at these numbers, 48 additional cruise missiles is a token drop in the bucket. It's almost like a token move that they're doing. They got to do something. 48. I mean, this is well over 1,000, maybe up to 1,500. Reasonably, right? If you have about 500, this is about 1,000 here. Have another 500 of these, right? That'd be about 1,500. That's just my guess, right? So, but here's the thing: the U.S. instigated deployment of the SSC-8s, right? Plus, they're really just a drop in the bucket in terms of real numbers, right? So this is lying bullshit. Oh, Russia, the big instigator, the big bad bear, missile deployment. Wow, 48, right? On top of the thousands and thousands out there. What a load of bullshit. They're just fueling an arms race. And this is because we jammed them with the ABM system. Now, if you can't follow this, I'm sorry. I'm just literally sorry. There's no hope. All right, so nuclear weapons protected by ABM. Yeah. All right, so the threat to Russia is European nuclear weapons protected by ABM systems. All right. All right. So what nuclear weapons do Europeans currently have? Well, Britain has ballistic missile submarines firing the USA Trident II submarine-launched ballistic missile with a range of 4,000 nautical miles. It's a big, heavy hitter. I don't know. The Trident II, I believe, had capacity for 10 MIRVs. I don't know if Britain equipped their missiles with 10 MIRVs, right? France has ballistic missile submarines and air-launched cruise missiles carried by Rafale fighter planes, right? The USA has B-61 nuclear bombs in Germany, Belgium, Italy, Netherlands, Turkey, which can be carried by stealth aircraft, resulting in near-zero response time for Russia, which I believe is first strike capability. All right, so here's a picture here, all right? Britain has nuclear weapons. France has nuclear weapons. U.S. has nuclear weapons in Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, Italy, 2 places, and in Turkey. All right, and these bombs here can be carried by stealth planes. All right, and these B-61 bombs have a big yield. They're not fission bombs. They're fusion bombs, which means they're thermonuclear, which is hydrogen bombs. These are the big boys, not uranium bombs or plutonium bombs. These are the big, high-yield ones, right? 340 kilotons. That's 7. Each one of these bombs is worth 17 of the bombs dropped on Hiroshima or Nagasaki. They're about 20 kilotons each. So this is 70 times bigger, one of these bombs, right? Well, that'll destroy Moscow. All right, and then these weapons are destabilized by ABM protection for European nuclear force, which threatens mad deterrence. All right, and that's with these SM-3 missiles. SM-3s are called standard missiles. They're a Navy missile, right? Okay, and they've been modified to be ground launch missiles. All right, so you have the Block 1B, right, range 378 miles, speed Mach 10. Block 2A is much more, right, 1,350 miles and Mach 15, right? So here's the 1B, here's the 2A, right, much greater capacity, right, and it's got a range of 1,350 miles. Now, this is between Moscow and Warsaw. Warsaw is in eastern Poland, right about there. Moscow's roughly around there. So you're talking like extended to about here, I'm guessing. So these missiles cover a range like this. That's blocking out Russia. All right. Okay, so 3 of 18. In response to the U.S. ABMs in Romania and Poland, Putin unveiled development of a hypersonic Mach 20 hypermaneuverable avant-garde nuclear missile to counter U.S. ABMs. Putin said, quote, "We had to create these weapons in response to the U.S. deployment of a strategic missile defense system, which in the future would be able to actually neutralize, nullify our entire nuclear potential." Right, so he said that in March of 2018. Now keep in mind that in April of 2019, 13 months later, we're still working on the Block 2A, trying to get that to iron out the kinks there, and that's not even ensuring complete shoot down of standard nuclear weapons, right? I mean, they're already ahead of the game here with this hypersonic. You see how futile this is? Right? Oh, but now the USA announces it's developing counter-hypersonic ABM systems. And I know at least three companies are doing that. Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman. Right? It's like a feudal Sisyphean arms race. Right? You know, Sisyphus is the dude in Greek mythology who had to roll a boulder to the top of a hill every day, only for that boulder to roll down, and the next day he's back at it. Oh, it rolls down, back at it. Endless, right? It's futile. That's what this arm race is like. Right? Just expanding, but you're gaining no ground. In fact, you're going backwards. So, but the more futile it is, the more money will be made by the military-industrial complex. Money better spent on things to make the USA more commercially competitive, grow the economy, provide a better life for people, cheaper electricity, and cheaper transportation, which will help grow the economy, and less cost from climate change. Right? All right, 12/4 of 2018, the U.S. warned Russia that it has 6 months to remove the SSC-8s, or the U.S. will abrogate the INF Treaty. Oh, more fueling of an arms race. Now, not waiting that 6 months, only 2 months later, the Trump administration withdraws from the INF Treaty. Not waiting 6 months, but only 2. Right? Why? I mean, China. I think they're going to point the finger at China. Right? Well, I mean, the INF Treaty was bilateral between Soviet Union, now Russia, and the U.S. And the theater was Europe. I bet you they're going to point the finger at, China's developing missiles. All right. 3/13, the Defense Department announced that it will begin testing 2 missiles whose range violates INF. So now, okay, we violate the treaty. All right. So we violate ABM treaty, causes Russia to violate the INF treaty. Right. We then violate the INF treaty, and we are now building INF weapons, developing 2 INF weapons. Right. fueling the nuclear arms race, right? They're building avant-garde weapon to evade the ABMs, which aren't even hitting the old weapon systems, effectively, right? So then now we got to counter and develop counter hypersonic ABM systems, right? See how bullshit this is? The USA instigated a nuclear arms race by jamming Russia with ABM abrogation, but then pointing the finger at Russia. Oh, you're the troublemaker by abrogating the INF. Well, who forced their hand? Who jammed them on their heels? Right? Who jammed the palm of their chest, shoved them back? USA. You know how social reality is going to counter this? That'd be bullshit. That's not real. There's no facts. Prove the fact. What? You know what that works on? Only ignorant idiots who never bothered to learn any facts. Right? This is obvious stuff. This is not rocket science. It's simple to understand. That's just your opinion. No, this is common sense. Any retarded 5-year-old should understand this. Well, maybe not retarded. A retarded 10-year-old, maybe. All right, okay, so here's a review of how the USA is cooking up a nuclear arms race. Just as the Bush administration exploited the irrational atmosphere of fear and hysteria created by the 9/11 attacks to manipulate Americans into the Iraq invasion war, well, they used the same trick to justify abrogation of the ABM Treaty in December 2001. Officially, June 2002. The stated reason was that state and non-state entities having or developing both WMD and ballistic missiles. Bullshit. Both must be present, and both were a big lie. No WMD, and only Iran had a missile that could hit part of Romania, but not Poland. And I showed you all the reasons why they wouldn't do that, so I'm not going to go through it again. Now, don't forget that the U.S. totally lied their asses off about Iraqi WMD and Iraqi Scud missiles. Total lie here. Lie. Bullshit. Right? Oh, do you believe them? God. Yeah, because USA, let me wave the flag. Yeah, that's it. Let me make myself feel good about myself. That's what's important. That's what's real. Me feel good. Me feel good. No facts, no intelligence. Me feel good. That's instinctive. That's impulsive, just like fear. Driving their brains. Irrational, impulsive crap. The Iranian threat to Eastern Europe is a hilarious joke. It is a comedy. This is a ridiculous Iran threat. But it was effectively fed to the American public. Who's stupid enough to I don't know, all the American public? And our government representatives are that stupid? Iran has no nukes, no ballistic missiles. Ballistic missiles can only barely hit Romania and not Poland. There are NATO nations closer to Iran, but we didn't put missiles there. Missiles in Poland and Romania form a blocking line between Russia and Europe, right? Destabilizing the balance there, right? Right. So we're looking at the retaliatory strike target for deterrence, European territory, even if they have no missiles in. We have weapons there, the bombs, B-61 bombs, but like Britain and France may not. Doesn't matter. Their territories are fully in play according to mutually assured destruction deterrence. Right? Iran has zero to gain from throwing a conventional bomb, not a nuke, at a European nation. Iran has everything to lose from doing this economically, in terms of defense deterrence, right? Destroyed by NATO, leaving them wide open and vulnerable to the real enemy, the Sunni nation, or to an Israeli preemptive strike. The U.S. could possibly try to exploit attacks on Iran to sow internal revolt instability. Why? Oh, I don't know. Only because we have a long history of doing this crap? Oh, but I don't know that. That's not real. It's because you don't know squat. I swear, people run around with nothing in their brains. All right? 99.9999% of people run around with nothing in their brains about this stuff. Right? So what do they have? Social reality. A 10-second blurb that any retard idiot can read. And that forms the entire basis of the reality. It always works. 6. All of Iran's real concerns are in the Middle East. Alright? Why would they even be thinking of Europe? Especially Eastern Europe. What the hell? Right? I mean, it's not even an afterthought. They're not even thinking about it to begin with that area. It's not even an itch in their butt. You know? It's like, God. Since its inception in 1979, Iran has been highly cautious to avoid a major retaliatory strike and thus has never launched a major offensive war. All they've done is support their proxy little crap and little peddly crap like laying floating mines, right? Hoping that they can get away with that. No, they didn't. They got their butts whacked. All this makes it utterly and completely stupid to think, retarded, moron to think Iran would throw a ballistic missile at Eastern Europe. Oh yeah, they're gonna, who's stupid enough to believe this crap? Oh, I don't know, our government leaders? God, that's just pathetic. Come on, right? This is not rocket science. I can teach this to a high school kid, and I can teach this to a freshman in high school. Of course, I'll forget it in a day. Is there going to be a test on this? Okay, I'll cram before the test. All right, shoot, that was like me. I swear, that was just like me. I didn't learn squat. I just crammed the night before test for everything. And I got high enough grades to get into the Naval Academy. Not learning squat. All I did was right before the day of test, I'd cram the night before. Sleep through classes. Given that the manufactured arena... okay, I said this already, all right. No, given that the manufactured Iranian threat is a total joke, right, to Eastern Europe, and given that the missiles form a blocking wall between Europe and Russia, any intelligent person would surmise that the U.S. abrogation of the ABM treaty once again is intended to push Russia's buttons, right, jam them with a threat to force them to react, and then when they react, we point the finger, oh, big scary aggressor, evil, Russia, empire of evil, axis of evil, whatever, you know. They're like Darth Vader, right? You know how all the Russians they drink vodka and they breathe like, see, that means they're evil. Yeah, people fall for that bullshit. It's a classic get you game. In response to this threat, Russia warned at least 6 times that if U.S. installed these ABM missiles in Europe, they would have to deploy intermediate-range nuclear missiles in violation of the INT at least 6 times. There may have been more. I only found 6. Right? I could have missed some. Right? And then in 2016, USA installs ABMs in Romania. The U.S. ABMs in Romania are operational. And the USA breaks ground for ABM construction in Poland. Completion date has been delayed to 2022, but they're being built. Their construction's underway. Russia responds by deploying 48 intermediate-range missiles, like they said, in some in Caspian Yar near Kazakhstan. Now, 48 missiles, again, are token drop in a bucket. Got thousands of these missiles, right? U.S., although these they are not part of the INF because they're air launch or sea launch, but they're cruise missiles with that range. Well, you had 48 more ground launch. Oh, man, that's a straw that broke the camel's back. Evil Russia. Oh, United States. I didn't do anything. What are you doing? I'm innocent. guy that wrote this was Dave Granlund. Granlund. Strategic analysis by a mental retard. A simpleton moron. God. So pathetic. So USA accuses Russia of aggression and feeds this to Congress and the public, effectively portraying Russia as a big bad bear. But the 48 missiles were both instigated by the USA and insignificant in real numbers. Basically just token, right? When you compare it to the overall amount of just cruise missiles alone, let alone any other form of intermediate range missile, like a intermediate range ballistic missile, the USA ignores, suppresses how it totally instigated this nuclear escalation by installing I mean, you read State Department crap, right? I just read this document. The missile about the Russian accusations about how we instigated, their violation on the INF. They don't conclude anything about their installation of ABM, right? What a total bullshit lie. It's all based on this. They're like, their lips are sealed on ABM. We didn't do anything. All right. So we warned them. You better get your missiles out in 6 months, or we're going to abrogate the INF treaty, which we did, right? Only after 2 months, and then we started building INF weapons ourselves, right? 2019, USA announced development of 2 INF. So we're now developing our own ground-based intermediate range nuclear weapons, missiles, fueling the nuclear arms race, right? Oh, Russia's to blame for this. Oh, bullshit. We jammed them. God, if you can't understand it, you're seriously a mental retard. You're not retaining anything. You're not putting 2 and 2 together. U.S. abrogation of the ABM treaty accelerated Russian development of ABM evading reentry technology. So now, okay, so we deploy ABMs. Will they come up with ABM evading, hypervelocity, hypermaneuverability, right? And our SM-3 Block 2s are still not developed to reliably knock down all regular ballistic missiles, right? So they're already a step ahead of us. I mean, we're fueling this arms race, and we're just getting further behind. It's like stupid. Oh, but it's going to be a moneymaker for the military-industrial complex. U.S. counters by working on development of ABMs that can shoot down hypersonic. Man, these aren't even working. Right? Trying to get this to work to shoot down regular ICBMs, right? Come on. So 3 companies, right? What did I say? Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, and Grumman. Was it McDonnell Douglas Grumman? Whatever. Okay. I know 3 companies. All right. Okay, so this is fueling the arms race again. This is more fuel for the arms race. All right, overall effect of U.S. unilateral abrogation of the ABM treaty. So U.S. unilateral. Oh, we'll just do this by ourselves. Right? Abrogation. Right? U.S. ABMs in Romania and Poland does nothing to reduce the fictitious and really comical, laughable, absolute joke of an Iranian threat to throw a conventional warhead on a ballistic missile, right, and an Eastern European country, stated by both the State Department and Defense Departments, right? Oh, Iran's going to do this. What? Only an idiot would believe this. Only a retard would believe this. I mean, come on. This is so obvious. Right? You have to be mentally retarded. I go through the art, right? I bet you our government officials are going to try to defend themselves. Watch them scramble. What? I wasn't stupid. What are you talking about? The threat was real. Shut the F up. I'm not going to go through it again. It's so obvious. The U.S. ABMs jammed Russia with a threat by upsetting the nuclear balance in Europe, forcing Russia to respond by installing 48 intermediate-range cruise missiles. This was U.S. instigated and also just a token drop in the bucket in terms of U.S. nuclear intermediate-range missiles, right, which are air-launched or sea-launched, right? U.S. portrays the Russian defensive reaction. What they're doing is defensive. We jam them on the heels. They respond reactively, defensively. And we portray that as an unprovoked act of aggression. And then spoon feed that to both the American public and our government representatives who gobble that bullshit down like pig slop served on fine chinaware. Right? It's a classic get-you-get-you game. And these work all the time. Right? Oh, you can't play games. No one's that smart. I'm not that smart, so no one is. Well, it's true. Maybe you're not that smart. In all likelihood, that is absolutely true. That doesn't mean these games aren't played. The USA, in turn, abandons the INF Treaty and develops 2 INF missiles, fueling the arms race with tit-for-tat escalation. Now, to counter the ABM threat, Russia develops a hypersonic, hypermaneuverable nuclear weapon system that effectively evades ABMs when our SM3 Block 2As aren't even shooting on regular ICBMs reliably. In turn, the USA begins development of ABM systems that won't be outmaneuvered by Russian hypersonic, hypermaneuver weapons. No doubt this U.S. instigated tit-for-tat arms race will go on and on, tit-for-tat escalation, counter-escalation, counter-counter-escalation, counter-counter-counter-escalation, counter-counter-counter-counter-counter-counter-escalation, on and on, right? Pouring gasoline on a new Cold War arms race, which will only serve as more justification for the U.S. $1 trillion nuclear revamp program, which you know is going to have cost overruns. I bet this gets at least 50% more. Typical military-industrial complex stuff, right? At the end, it's going to be like, oh, okay, we underestimated a little bit. Cost overrun. The flow of collective resources will be controlled, and well-positioned people will make a lot of money much better spent on increasing U.S. commercial competitiveness. Hey, this is a competitive commercial world here, right? Right? Why don't we help our companies better compete? Promoting advances in U.S. commercial technology? Yeah, right? We should get a jump on all these other nations in getting new technology, new products. Switching to cheaper energy. Who's really driving ahead? China's taking the lead here. They're pushing at a national level to advance technology, right? Why are we doing this stuff? Switching to cheaper energy and transportation. This is going to be a hedge against inflation and thus a benefit for economic growth. Combating the high cost of climate change, right? For those who believe in climate change, those who don't have their head up their ass, right? Those who are not cavemen and don't look at data. Data? Me no data. What data? There's no data for climate change. Oh, shut up. Right? Bad things happen throughout. There are hurricanes forever. There's no change. There's forest fires forever. There's no change. Right? Ice has been melting forever. I got proof. My whiskey tonic ice, it melts. Summer comes. That's proof ice melts. Retards. Right? All of which will fuel growth. Right? So, here's a U.S. Deploys ABM. Well, Russia violates the INF. Right? U.S. deploys ABMs, where Russia comes back and produces these hypersonic, hyper-maneuverable missiles, right? Fuel arms race. U.S. deploys ABMs. Well, U.S. then violates INF because they violate the INF, right? And then we develop our INF missiles, fueling the arms race. U.S. abandons the ABM, and then we develop ABMs to hit their hypersonic and hyper maneuver missiles when our current missiles aren't even hitting regular ICBMs reliably. Oh, that's just great. All right. So once again, this is the second time I've given this because after the first time I gave this, I could tell there was a big social reality retard attack, right? And this is so simple and straightforward, right? That the only way it can be attacked, you can believe this attack, is if you know nothing. This is not rocket science. Any retard should understand this. What does it mean if you don't understand this? Well, you're not as smart as what? Well, you know what I'm saying there. All right, that's it.